Yo guys, what's going on? Life of Rio here, and guys, I know this is the third upload of the day within less than 3 hours, guys. So we're moving along. I'm trying to get the information to you guys as quick as possible, and since I did not have to work today, there's no excuse for me not to bring you guys this kind of information as Warframe is pushing out this type of stuff for us today. So let's go ahead and talk about the Bard frame, aka her name is Octavia. Now the thing about it is I really don't like the name. I thought there was just so many more other better clever names that you could have went with, but Octavia just sounds so, I want to say, generic, and compared to other Warframe names, you know what I mean. But overall, let's go over the moves. Let's give it like a let's get an analogy going, kind of to say how we think she's gonna pan out in high level missions, what kind of frame she might be. Let's kind of give a breakdown, and at the end of the video we could kind of see what everybody comes up with in the comment section, because you guys know reading the moves on paper never turns out to be as great as they sound when you're playing the frame in game. So let's kind of see what kind of synergy her moves kind of has, because I'm really excited, because after Nidus came out, I'm kind of hyped to see this frame, because Nidus had ridiculous synergy and strength for endgame within his utility. So I want to see what they actually did with this frame, and since they spent so long on this frame and creating new mechanics for the frame, I kind of want to see what they actually came up with. Now Mallet, it says beats damage into nearby enemies and draw their fire. Damage inflicted on Mallet increases its lethality. Now Mallet is a first ability, so first ability moves, you guys already know that they're very spammable, they're very cheap. Some frames have incredibly great first abilities and some frames have terrible first abilities. That's just a roll of the draw in Warframe. Now Mallet, for it to be, it beats damage into nearby enemies. So we already know that she's a frame that's based off on sound and kind of like staying in rhythm and motion and things like that. So Mallet seems to be that it's going to be a decent amount of damage, not too much, and then the more damage that's done to Mallet increases its lethality. Now given it could be a crazy damage first ability, but kind of off the notion to the amount of frames that have crazy amount of damage first abilities, I want to say that Mallet might not be, but if it goes into more of her kit, we can see how it synergizes so well. So as of right now, it doesn't sound like it's a bad idea, because first ability moves, you don't judge them too hard. They're very cheap, they're very spammable, and they're just first ability, so we take them with what we get. Second ability is called Resonator. Launches a rollerball that charms foes to follow it. Combines with the Mallet to create a roving ball on sonic destruction. Now we all know that Warframe like to put big incredible names or big incredible words in their phrasing, like destruction, like, and then when you use it in game, it's nothing, you know what I mean? So let's look at this one. Launches a roller ball that charms foes to follow it. So overall, we can kind of tell that Resonator is going to be some form of CC move, to where it's going to actually get enemies off you, to where you don't feel as threatened as much. So that's kind of like a good thing, and it also synergizes with her first ability. So combined with her first ability, it creates a roving ball of sonic destruction. So we're gonna have to see how that pans out, how the damage is gonna calculate into that one. But as of right now, Resonator sound like it's going to be a CC oriented second ability. Now the thing about this is I'm just hoping that her casting times aren't incredibly slow. That's gonna be the main thing. The third ability, which is called Metronome, it says grants buff to those who consistently perform actions in time to Octavia's moves. Time jumps offer a speed buff. Crouching on the beat grants cloaking. Well, that's pretty cool. Firing rhythmically bestows multi-shot. Time melee swing buff damage. This kind of reminds me, if any move comes to mind, the first move that comes to mind on this one is Titania's second ability, to where it gives you a random one, but this one actually you know which one you're getting. And the synergy on which it try to create as a third ability, I hope the move overall is just great, because the synergy of which it try to create as a team synergy, as a team buff, because this one is Metronome is looking like a team buff, and this one is actually looking like that giant move, that huge radio move that they showed on the dev stream. So I'm kind of really hoping that it's not too technical, because if you have randoms on your team and you're trying to put your mic on, and then you have people trying to work together and you activate your third ability, you tell somebody to jump on the beat, you get a speed buff. how long is the buff. I'm hoping that the base duration of this move is gonna be at least pretty strong. I would hope for at least a 30-second like Rhino's like Rhino's roar or something like that, or a base 25 seconds, something like that, which means that it would scale very well off of duration mods. But the crouching on beat, which grants cloaking, I want to know how strong is the cloaking going to be, how long is it going to be there, because if you grant cloaking from any other frame or any other person, you're able to go into nullifier bubbles. So I want to see how that would pan out, because if it's not your cloaking and somebody else gives it to you, then you are able to go into nullifier bubbles. So that would be pretty cool. And if it's easy to fall into synergy with that, then she will be a great addition into doing long endurance runs, because she brings so many different things to the table with just that third ability. Now getting a multi-shot, it's kind of weird, because Warframe and multi-shot, see, that's the thing with Warframe. They complained about multi-shot and how multi-shot is supposed to be, but then you put a brand new frame in the game which introduced multi-shot if you go to the sound of the beat. Kind of weird. I want to see how that pans out. I would need to know the numbers behind it, on how it's going to increase and what it's going to entail, for how long the buff is going to be there, and really what's the dramatic buff onto it. So that's going to be pretty cool. So far it just sounds like a pretty average frame. I don't know how powerful the moves are going to be, but on paper as of right now, and generally knowing how Warframe is, it sounds like a pretty average frame. Now Amp is the fourth ability, draws power from the disabled level of sounds in the area and uses it to amplify a damage buff for Octavia and her allies. It also doubles the damage and range on nearby mallets. Okay, so this is very creative, because mallet, the first ability, is now brought back into play from the second ability all the way back to the fourth ability, so that's really good. So mallet is going to be a move that you consistently keep up, which is going to be a thing, so that you can actually take from that. Now it says it doubles the damage and range of nearby mallets. So if it doubles the damage and range, obviously you already know that this frame is going to be based on duration. This frame is actually going to be based on range. And it looks like power strength is actually going to be a thing, because power strength granted from the third ability on how it's actually perceived and actually how strong the buffs are, because most buffs in the game are affected by power strength. So what I'm guessing here is power strength, range, and some form of duration, but I want to see how much duration you would probably need on this frame for when it comes out. Also on Resonator, back to her second ability, charming the enemies for them to follow. That move right there automatically sounds like a duration based ability as well, to how it's going to be affected. And I want to know if Resonator could also be affected by power strength, based on how much power strength you have is how much enemies that are affected that can follow the Resonator on how it's going out. But also, this doesn't sound like it's going to be a Nyx type frame. And when I say a Nyx type frame, meaning you can build overextended negative strength. It doesn't really sound like a negative strength type frame, but I would love to see how it pans out. But with Amp, using the power to, you know, buffing your teammates and everybody in range. So her fourth ability is kind of like a buffer, and it looks like a huge AoE ring on how it's going to be. So guys, let me know what you think about this one in the comment section. I'm kind of excited, kind of hoping that this isn't one of those, you know, semi-okay frames, because Titania was perceived in a very strong way, and then Titania kind of really let us down. So I really want to know how this frame is actually going to pan out. Now with the abilities, the first ability is looking like an ability that we're going to keep up at all times. It looked like an ability that's just going to really affect her kit. Her second ability launches a roller that charms foes to follow it. It just seemed like something that that's gonna be your escape. Like if you're doing solos, that's gonna help you out to keep enemies off you, to give you some kind of breathing room. Metronome grants buff to those who consistently perform actions within Octavia's music. I'm pretty sure it's a self buff as well, to where you can just pay attention to the rhythm of your own beat. But at the same time, that type of synergy in Warframe is extremely difficult, because most people don't have their music on. Most people isn't, you know, paying attention at times. People are just moving around, jumping, parkouring, doing all type of things. So really trying to pull people together to do all that type of synergy is really, really difficult. And I'm kind of thinking like, that's going to be kind of hard. Like, I'm not going to lie, that's going to be kind of hard to really just look into it like that for most players, especially for newer players. You would have to be in a party, you would have to be partied up with a team, and you guys basically pay attention to what you're doing and what synergies you're bringing to the party, how you're going about this, and trying to buff each other. So seeing more than one Octavia together is actually going to be pretty interesting. But as of right now, I don't really seem to rate her like as nothing crazy as of yet, because the move sounds kind of like not too crazy. We would have to see the stats first, and once I can see the stats, then I can actually go off of it to see how powerful the move is going to be, to see if she's a frame that can actually replace somebody in the meta, how well she's going to keep up in endgame, and what kind of solo frame she's going to be. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope that you guys have been enjoying these videos that I've been just pumping out today, and thank you guys so much for the love and support on the channel. 18K, you guys are amazing. Please subscribe for more Warframe, and all of the old subscribers, thank you so much for carrying on this channel, man. You guys have helped me so much, and welcome to the new subscribers as well. I'll catch you guys later on the next Warframe video.